All right, welcome back to the BFR Podcast. We kind of have an emergency pod tonight. We're recording pretty late. We have a huge signing by the Bears. A lot of us thought this was going to happen, but they signed Yannick Ngakoue to a $10 million guaranteed deal. Before we hop into that and discuss that, that's what the pod's going to be mainly about. But we want to go ahead and just announce something that we've been wanting to for a while. But we are partnered with Sports Mockery. So this is going to be the BFR Podcast, but we are now partnered with them. They are going to be it's presented by Sports Mockery. So they are an amazing team. We're excited just to kind of have, just more eyes on the pod, and they are letting us kind of just run the show and just be a part of a great company. Ficky, man, we'll touch on that real quick. What are your thoughts on it? You want to say anything?
No, it's great. It's partnerships is going to be very beneficial. I think it's great because we're still going to deliver the same Bears stuff, still kind of deliver it in the same way. We'll add in some stuff that will help elevate the show, which is good. And the more things also around the show to help build community and things like that, and really get in touch with you fans and giveaways, all this type of fun stuff that we've really wanted to do. So it's just going to be a lot easier for us to be able to do that. So I'm definitely excited about it because it's not just benefiting us, it's going to benefit all y'all too. So.
Absolutely. We're just excited. And now enough of all that. Like I said, we'll get to more of that, next week, and we'll officially kind of talk a little bit more about it. But we're excited, and we're also excited about the Bears. Ryan Poles making a huge move today. So today, like 9 o'clock, super late, the Adam Schefter, he said right here that Yannick Ngakoue is signing a 1-year deal, $10.5 million, $10 million guaranteed with the Chicago Bears, confirmed tonight. It's a huge deal. First of all, we'll talk about the player. We've, spoke about him, on past episodes on the pod, but what are your thoughts, first of all, just on him? Are you excited, obviously? And then 2, what about the amount, $10 million, 1-year deal? Were you expecting a little bit more, maybe a 2-year deal? Just give me your, brief thoughts on that.
No, I think that's a fair deal. I think I think his projections were somewhere around like 8 million. So I'm okay with 10 million. Again, this is a 1-year deal. So this, I know it's exciting that we got him, but this isn't fixing our D-line issue. This is just something that's going to help in the big pivotal year for Justin Fields and this team, right? To make sure that we give him the best opportunities to really see who he is. Right. So I think this is just a good signing on both ends. And, if he turns out well and he does what he's kind of done in the past, maybe he gets another 2-year deal or something like that. Right. Or if not, he's gone. So for me, it's it's good for the moment, but I'm not looking too much into it. This is going to be our pass rusher for the next 3 or 4 years. Right. This is just something hey, this is a great pickup, pretty cheap. Right. Especially since we have the money. We have 17 mil left. And we also had to reach because we didn't spend enough 3 years ago, and every 3 years there's a threshold you have to meet for the cap, in total, and we hadn't reached that yet, even after the Komet signing. So this will help us reach that as well, because I think if you don't reach it, you get penalized. So I think it's just beneficial in both ways.
It's a weird penalty. It's really beneficial to the players because if you don't reach it, it's actually spread across your current roster. So it's the players are probably hey, who cares?
We don't care.
You get a little bit more money. But great point. I don't know exactly where they're at. I bet they're getting close. That's kind of a question for Brad over on Twitter. Sure. He's amazing at that. OTC over there and Pro Football Focus. But I agree with you. I think as far as moving the needle, Yannick, he's an interesting player. I think this is his 5th team. The Bears will be his 5th team since entering the league in 2016. But his stats are kind of crazy.
They're pretty good.
Let's see here. So the Bears D-line had about 7.5 sacks last year. I think Brisker had 4. He led the team. And last year, Yannick had 9.5 by himself in 2022. I think he has 18.5 over two seasons. Yep. He's really just he's a pass rushing specialist. He's being brought in here not for to play every down, but to just rush the quarterback. And I think with the players we have right now, that interior pressure, I think he just fits the team. It's a need. Is it Khalil Mack in 2018? We touched on this a little bit before we started recording, but no, it's not. The Mack edition that is very similar because I think, we signed him in August, just a couple days before playing the Packers in week 1. Right. And now about a month out, we have another edge rusher coming to Chicago who is prolific at rushing the quarterback. This time will be Jordan Love, but it's a fun little scenario, to kind of think on about, Justin Fields and how exciting, this year is. I think it's even more so with this addition, even though I think a lot of us fans kind of thought something like this was going to happen, especially with
we're going to sign something. Yeah, we're going to sign someone. But the thing with Yannick that I think a lot of people thought we were going to sign him, but then he said he wanted to play for a contender, and that kind of doesn't. We don't really. Yeah. I mean, they say they say a whole bunch of stuff, right? And then also he was looking for a multi-year deal. He obviously didn't get that either. He wanted, because I mean, the man's bounced around 5 times, right? So even with his great stats, I can see why he wants a multi-year deal. And he didn't. Let's be real. Like, if you look at contenders, we're not contenders. And he didn't get a multi-year deal. So we must have given him one of the best offers, because 10.5 is pretty decent. And there was also like up to 10 mil in incentives, I think I saw, or something like that. So they could be added on. So, I mean, again, I think it's a good signing overall. I think we're excited for it. I'm glad that we signed him. I think being a rental, this is a great rental to have. It would just be interesting if we end up re-signing him, or do we find someone in free agency? I think we're going to draft someone, but also I feel like we're probably going to pull someone from free agency.
So are you talking about like next year?
Yeah. If he'll if we'll re-up on him, or if we'll pick someone else up from free agency. To be honest,
I think I would have liked to have seen like a 2-year deal, perhaps. I really think he's 28 years old, but at the same time, I think where we were at that we needed to spend, I think it's a great deal for Ryan Poles. He kind of held his ground. He didn't really, overextend himself. He just was like, hey, we have a number, and they've been talking about it for months, kind of alluding to, hey, there's a lot of guys we're interested in, and he was at the top of the list. I think he's the best pass rusher available.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, straight pass rushing. Well, maybe Houston, or not Houston. What's his Chris Jones? No, Jones. Chris Jones in Kansas City, but you'd have to. He's older, and you'd have to pay him the bag. Yeah, he wants like 30 million or something like that. So he's the best one on the market, but realistically, we would not be signing Chris Jones, because Chris Jones is going to get signed by Kansas City or some other top end contender who needs someone like him in the playoffs. So that was kind of out of scope. But yeah, talking about like that we could actually afford and get, he is the best pass rusher. Now, on the other side of the coin, when it comes to run stopping, the man's non-existent, right? It kind of like the inverse of him is Clowney. Like Clowney is not as much as a pass rusher anymore, but you talk about a run stopper, Clowney, that's what he does. He can stop the run consistently. And now why I think he doesn't get more than a 1-year deal, especially with us, is that our defensive ends need to be run stoppers. In this type of system, they have to be like heavy run stoppers. And Flus has talked about that. And maybe that's the case just for him only getting these 1-year deals because of the amount of snaps he's getting percent-wise, because he's really only in on, those obvious passing down plays where it's like you just rush because we know there's not going to be a run. So, which is good. Like, I mean, that, again, $10.5 million, that's not bad to have that, especially when we talked about 7.5 sacks in this man over his, how long has his career been? 6 years?
2016 he came in the league, yeah.
So, 6 years. Every year he's had over 8 sacks. 8 sacks rookie year, 12 sacks next year after that, 9.5, 8. And then when he was on 2 different teams, it was 5-3 split, which is 8, 10 in 2021 and 9.5 last year. So the man is guaranteed to get you 8 sacks, which is more than our whole team had in total. So paying $10.5 million for that is definitely worth it.
But you talk about, he's not good at stopping the run. We're not bringing him in to stop the run. We already have some big bodies up there. Billings, Dexter, Pickens. Like it's going to be an interesting, like, I think the way he fits with this defense is a lot better than if we looked, at the end of last year, like, hey, oh my gosh, this defensive line, the front four, it's non-existent. And now you have these giant bodies who are just going to be able to clog the middle. And now you got, our linebackers, our back seven is, I think, very, 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 very sneaky good as far as just like being young, having some veteran guys in there, Eddie Jackson, Jalen Johnson. So now you have a guy who just goes, he can pin his ears back, third down and, apply some pressure. It's, I'm very, very excited, but
yeah, I mean, I'm excited too. And I agree with you on like the back seven. I think we'll be fine there. And, I think the linebacker core, all that stuff's been upgraded. I think no concerns there. But at the end of the day, Andrew Billings, that's not super, super high quality, right? It's definitely an upgrade. Zach Pickens and Javon Dexter, big bodies, but these are rookies, right? Rookies, there's going to have their hurdles and whatnot. So I think we have upgraded the defensive line as a whole with everyone that we've added, which is good. That's what we need to do. But I still don't want us as fans, I don't want us to think like this defensive line, even with Yannick, this defensive line, I'd be happy if we're top 20. Realistically, I could still see us bottom half. Now, are we going to be dead last like last year? No, but are we going to be 22nd? Maybe, right? So it's just
Are you talking about total defense?
Defensive line, so sacks, pressures, things like that. Yeah, because last year we were franchise low. Think about this. Franchise worse in amount of sacks that we've had. It was the lowest number in the Bears history. So to think that we're going to go from that to now we're just hitting the quarterback left and right, that's impossible to do. You don't have
this isn't going to be the 2018 defense.
No. But are we making the right steps? Is Poles doing the right things to kind of fill the holes when needed to and then overall improve? Yes. So I just want to kind of, especially for the D line, we still need to kind of take it down. So
the thing with this, what I really like is because we talk about next year and the draft capital that we have. 2 first, going to be Panthers. Hopefully is going to be high top 10. Bears maybe top 15, top 20. And so that's where you're going to get your long-term edge rusher if Justin Fields is the guy, which I believe he will be. Hopefully. I think we both kind of feel that way. But heading into this year, this is going to allow Justin to have the ball more in his hands. Instead of, the defense just, not being able to get a stop, letting Kirk Cousins march 90 yards down and score on you. It's going to be a lot harder, I think, or it's going to be more difficult, and with the back seven and then the experience that's going to be coming with, the depth with Stevenson and Terrell. I think that this is a signing that everyone has been looking forward to. And now I'm like, why not just go get one more? Why not Justin Houston, Clowney? You still got, I think, like I said,
you could do it for like a 1
million.
Yeah, as long as it's 1 year deals, right? Yeah, because again, I want that cap back next year because these are Band-Aids, right? And so basically, as we're viewing this year, right? This year with Fields is let's give him as much opportunities or let's take away all the excuses. I think that's what Poles is doing. He's building the team, but also being like, hey, look, I don't want to look back and be like, I can't grade you or assess you well because the defense literally.
But he's not compromising the future, kind of like how Ryan Pace did.
Oh yeah, Pace would go trade.
If this was Pace, he's doing it's a 4 or 5 year deal worth $80 million guaranteed or something like that. Similar to how someone touched on this. I think I saw it in a tweet or I was listening to something talked about Nick Foles. Very similar. Could have just waited till he was cut. Instead, they went out and I think traded for him, of course, and everything like that. So it's just interesting because I think the Bears aren't contending for a Super Bowl, and Yannick, he said he wanted to contend, he wanted to play for a contender. I find that interesting, and so but the Bears could very well find themselves contending for a wild card spot, contending for the division. I think it really just depends on just the growth overall offensively. And then obviously the defense is still going to have to make plays, get off the field more. And I think now, depending, especially with some of these rookies with training camp, the defense looking a lot better than, maybe we thought. I think it's going to, I can't help but be really, really excited just for this, what this team can be. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. They were kind of fun last year, and now it's just trending even more so.
Yeah, I'm more I'm excited about this. It's good, but I still want this defense wasn't good last year. Let's be real. The most exciting stuff of the games last year, especially that back half, was our offense. If our defense would have been somewhat decent, we would have won 3 or 4 more games, right? So again, I feel like we improved, but I'm still these are not if it's a Mac trade, then that's different. Mac is a game changer, right? A franchise changing type of player. Then I'm okay, now we're really talking. We got this locked in for a couple years, right? We're not in that position to make that trade, so I'm happy we didn't do something like that. But I'm looking more at this at okay, well, let's just we're just adding more pieces this year so that we can grade this team in a better light. And that gives enough time for like a lot of these rookies and a lot of the young players, because our team is very young, right, to start to develop their own and get better. So overall, though, yeah, we should be hyped, but I'm not expecting this team, like, we're probably maybe 22 sacks or something like that. It's not like crazy. We're not getting, well, no, 22 is a lot, actually.
With the arrival with this addition tonight, how much does that move the needle for you? Is this a half a game? Is this a one full game? How much can Yannick kind of move that needle or win you?
So let's go average, right? Let's say he gets like 9 sacks. All right. So 9 sacks, 3 of those will be on crucial third downs, which stops a drive. We had 7 close games last year, I think, or something like that.
It's a lot.
So let's say 3 of those stop a drive, flip the score, maybe 2 get 2 wins plus 2. Is my math?
Yeah.
I would say 3 crucial drives. And let's say
plus 2 is, I would love that. That's a, a 1-year, $10 million deal. That's awesome. I like that.
Especially when you only won 3 games. That's doubling your your win percentage. So yeah. So, yeah,
well, I'm with you on that. I was thinking I didn't want to highball it. I wasn't going to 4 or 5, something crazy like a Khalil Mack edition. And even that is probably too much in regards to just one player.
It's hard.
Yeah, one edge. But I think what
like
you
offense.
Putting it to perspective, just, it's the end of the 4th quarter, 3 minutes left. It's the difference between Justin getting the ball back and having a chance, or, the quarterback and the opposing team going and running the clock down, kicking that game-winning field goal, or, whatever it might be. You get one extra possession probably out of a guy like Yannick on third down who can go and make a big play, whether it's a sack, pressure, which I think is huge. Just getting pressure on a quarterback such as like a QB Kirk hit. Cousins, QB hit, letting him know, hey, you're not going to have 4 or 5 seconds to stand back there, drop back, and throw it up to Justin Jefferson, or even with Jared Goff, who we know if you get pressure on him, he's a different quarterback, much like a lot.
Yeah, and it's not only just him, right? Because again, it's a team sport. So the fact we saw this with Khalil Mack, just because Khalil Mack didn't get a sack doesn't mean he didn't impact the play, right? So they have to put focus on. I'm not putting him in the same light as Khalil, but like for someone who is a very good pass rusher, right? You're going to put focus on that, and then that basically gives opportunities for other defensive ends and other players, because now they're getting one-on-ones because Yannick gets doubled on this third down, right? So just because he doesn't get a sack, it's equating to more sacks, is that spread throughout the D line. So I do think we'll see. I bet we'll easily double our sacks, right? Because if he gets 9 and we had 7.5, that's more than double. Will we hit 20? That's going to be dependent on, like, do some of these rookies step up? Does Travis Gibson actually perform like he did 2 years ago instead of last year? So,
but with Gibson, now you have a little bit more talent around him that should help benefit. Similar to like how DJ Moore just knocked everyone down a little bit. This is nothing like the DJ Moore addition to the wide receiver room, but it's a good addition. It's something that the Bears desperately needed. And so now you knock everyone down a little bit. Their roles are a little bit, different, and they're watered down to an extent where it's like, okay, now guys are not going to be able to focus on, Travis Gibson or Justin Jones or something like that. And so I really like that. Now I want to play this game here. Just go ahead and give me one word to use this signing. Just one word.
Rental. That's what I'm putting.
Rental. Okay.
Or like it's, what I think of? I think of like analogy is like if you ever heard of the app Turo. Turo's kind of like Airbnb of cars, but you can rent like all different types of cars, right?
Yeah.
So for a day, you're like, all right, I want to get this Mercedes Benz, right? And you can just ride it around the city, flex, and be whatever, or use whatever you want. That's what this is. This is a nice car that we're like, hey, we got it for 24 hours. Let's see what it does. Let's get use out of it, and then we're probably going to return it back.
Yeah,
but it'll be worth it. You'll have a great day in that Mercedes Benz, but in reality, that's not your car. So that's how I view it.
I like that.
What about you?
Yeah. I'll go with let's see here. I'll go with just consistent. Similar to what we talked about Ryan Poles. I think it's just a consistent move where it's like, if you outside of Chase Claypool, there's not a lot of reaches. It's like they're very logical. They're calculated. He's waited. It's August 3rd. Training camp is already about a week and a half in. And it was just, it was consistent to what he does and how he's building this team. He's not going to risk the future just because he really likes a guy, or that the Bears, everyone in, everywhere knew that the Bears, one of their biggest holes right now was an edge. They need someone who can just go and get the quarterback. And you had a guy, Yannick, who was wanting, hey, I want to play for contender. I want a long-term deal, blah, blah, blah. And Poles stood his ground. He was consistent to where he's been since he got here. And he was like, you know what? This is where we're at. We like you as a player. We want you in Chicago. We have a place. We have a position of need for you where you can just make the most of it. And perhaps he stays in Chicago next year and we sign another 2-3 year deal, or it's another 1 year deal or something like that. But just the fact that he remained consistent. And I just, like I said, I think it's a lot of buzz. It's going to create a lot more electricity in training camp, even though camp has already been, very, very intriguing. And it's been a fun time for almost everyone that's, attended. Now you have a guy, this defense that is already chirping, already having a lot of fun. And then playing with just, a high intensity. There's going to be a lot more shit talking now, because now you have a guy that can get the fields relatively easy that no one else could do. No offense to Gibson, no offense to the guys already there, but this guy is different. He is he is a specialist when it comes to just sacking the quarterback, which he's already sacked, Justin. If I saw a clip going around, I'm not sure if you've seen it. We could throw it up here, but of him, I think he's in the Raiders. So I think it's his rookie season, chasing him down, which is, I couldn't believe how actually fast he is. He's pretty quick. And he caught Justin, got him by, I think, the tip of it, his shoe, and just tripped him up. And he had already broke the pocket. So it was a pretty athletic play. But again, long story short here, I just think it's a good, consistent move.
It's
I really like the rental. Yeah,
it's a safe bet. I think it's good. And then with DeMarcus Walker, so I feel more confident. Let me put it this way, because with DeMarcus Walker, right, on third downs, they'll move him inside, and that's where he got a lot of his sack production, actually, from I think the 3-tech. He plays defensive end, but we move him in. So you have him inside, who I think he got 7.5 last year, right? So even if he gets even on the short end, if we go short end for both of these players, right? Let's say Yannick's obviously his lowest is 8, so we'll go 8, and let's say DeMarcus, he gets 5. That's plus 13. Right. So we would go from 7.5 sacks to around 20, which probably puts us back half middle, right? Maybe 15 to 20. That's enough that at least we're doing something in the game. And that's giving an extra possession and a half, maybe to Fields, throughout the season, right? Per game. So that's important. And he scores on half of those. Maybe that changes the gains by 2 or 3. So it's a great signing. I like the budget signing for it. And I like that it's just a 1-year rental. And hopefully, if he balls out, then maybe we re-sign him. So I do find it
odd. It's like he does ball. I feel like he balls out every year. A guy that is so consistent with that production. And the thing is, maybe teams see him as a, one trick, one-hit wonder, one-trick pony, where it's okay, this guy, he can only be there on third down. He's kind of a liability anywhere else. And that's probably why he's been on 5 different teams, So it is what it is, but I'm excited because the Bears need this and it fits.
We did.
Get another one. Like I said, go get one more, and maybe get a backup center or something like that, or some, offensive line help just with the injuries that have kind of been piling up. Don't know how severe they are.
Yeah, they're all undisclosed, so we don't really know. But I'm going to be pro getting another edge. I just don't know if, because they got DeMarcus Walker, so maybe they feel. I know he's not a true because he moves around, but you might kind of have him filled, right? If they get another one, I won't be mad, but it's just another rental, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary, but I think they did it. This is what they needed to do. Everything else is icing on cake. They still have the waiver wire number 1 pick up until week 2 or something like that. So everybody that's cut, everyone, with training camp, cutting down the rosters, the Bears are going to have the first pick at, any position.
Right.
Exactly. And I think that's going to be huge. Yeah. So as far as going out and spending, I think they did what they needed to do. Maybe another extension's coming down the line, Jalen Johnson, something along those lines. But we'll end.
Oh, and then one last thing too, because Poles has talked about how he wants to be versatile, right? So
Right.
I wouldn't see him spending half of his remaining cap on another thing because that only gives you 7 million. Let's say you want to make a trade at the deadline. There's a disgruntled star, right? Having the cap, having money, having picks, like
Chase
I just feel
Young.
like there you go, right? If there is something like that though, like Chase Young or something like that, I think it's just important. Or someone who wants a new deal, but they're young, right? Like for example, let's say like Daniel Hunter, he took another year, but let's say he was looking for money and we have it. I think it's good to have that option so then we can be best suited to actually steal that player. Instead of just being like, oh, let's just get another rental, right?
And you're right. Like the fan in me is like, let's just keep it going here. Let's keep on getting this, this momentum and this
why not?
Excitement. But you're right. That's why he is the GM. That's why he's so different he's like a polar opposite than Ryan Pace when it comes to just being calculated, man. He's like, there's going to be other moves that we might not even see right now. And a cool thing with Chase Young is I heard reports, been reading on him that he has been feeling great. So if he is maybe performing at a high level, or he's just, the production's there, but Washington still might be a 1, 2, 3, 4.
I don't know if they can afford all three of their linemen because they just paid
talent up there.
They got to pay Montez or Chase. So I don't know how they're gonna.
So maybe he's performing, and the Bears are in a wild card or divisional race. And Edge is still kind of like, I kind of need that. Okay, trade for Chase Young. And especially if it doesn't take, I wouldn't want to give up a second unless he is really Chase Young, back to, in form. But
whomever it may be, it's just having that. You want to have those options,
flexibility.
So if opportunities happen like that, you can put yourself in the bidding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So especially. You know what I mean? It just doesn't, I feel like that's more valuable than getting an extra rental that like helps you this year, but like, you're not keeping them. So that'd be my opinion. I think how Poles has kind of been navigating because he wants to build through the draft anyways, that I don't really see him being like, let me go spend again on Edge, but I could be wrong, but I don't likely see that happening, but we'll see.
Yeah. Me too, man. Well, like I said, I'm excited we were able to get this pod out, and talk about it. We'll end it here. So this was just some updated notable additions just from the Bears this offseason. So I'm going to go through the list here just because kind of give some perspective on how amazing this offseason kind of has been. Like, what can it lead to? We're not sure yet, but the fact, just the overhaul and all the additions, like the veterans. So we'll start with DJ Moore, of course.
Actually, can you start a little bit back? Because I think you also have to count Chase Claypool. I know he didn't really play well last year, but I think I know what list you're talking about, but I think he should be added to that.
Yeah, I think I have a couple additions because this is from Jacob Infante, our guy. We need to have him back on the pod. So we have Chase Claypool, which perfect. I mean, I think we're both pretty high on him. He's had a pretty good camp. I think there's been some reports where he's been the most surprising, and the biggest target or the most targeted receiver out of, from Justin Fields. And so great point. So we'll have Chase Claypool, DJ Moore, Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, Yannick Ngakoue. I think I said that correctly. Nate Davis, which that's another story, but DeMarcus Walker, Dante Foreman.
Okay. Stop
Andrew
there.
Billings.
So before you go on, I would say 6 like legitimate starters that you upgraded, right? The other guys are starters, but I'm saying like you go Chase Claypool basically down to Nate Davis
or Walker, DeMarcus Walker.
After I think Nate Davis after that. Either way, about 6 people. Like that's a good amount. That's almost one full side of the ball. So
and then we have Robert Tonyan. He's not a starter, but great depth. Great target.
Depth. Yep.
Tyreek Stevenson. Starter?
Yep. Yes. Maybe? Well, him or Terrell. So yeah, it'll be one of them.
And then I was gonna say Terrell, Jervon Dexter, Zach Pickens, probably not starting, but
Jervon might. Pickens probably won't.
And did I say Darnell Wright? I think I did.
No, you didn't. Okay. But that's another
Darnell
starter,
Wright.
So
another starter. So and then Tyler Scott, who is another
good piece. He'll get a
rookie
lot of,
that is surprising, which snaps. Obviously friend of the pod, but a little.
So was that 9?
Like I said,
9 legitimate starters, really. Like I know 3 of them are rookies, so maybe 2 of them don't start on every team. But Darnell Wright would start on a good amount. Like as he's a first round top 10 pick. So,
yeah.
I mean, seven potential starters in one offseason, and some of them are like the best at their position or top 5, like
Exactly.
TJ Edwards.
And by week
and
8, they could be
Evans.
even, those rookies could really get going, where it's like, okay, the Bears are starting to make a run here, and it's perfect because then, okay, you got 8 games in. These rookies are kind of, okay, we're understanding this, game speed, NFL speed, just learning the in and outs, feeling more comfortable, and you can make a run. You could really make a run, especially with all these other starters that you just talked about. So,
but look at this too. It's not just only starters, but if we look, DJ Moore, top 10 in his position, right? Top 15, but still like this isn't just a starter. This is like someone who's a potential star, right?
Legit.
Yeah. Then you have Nate Davis. He graded out top 5 in as a guard last year. All right. Then you have I already lost. TJ Edwards and Edmonds. Those both of them graded top 10 as linebackers. So it's not that you just got, these starters that maybe aren't starters on every team, but may start on some. No, you got like top dogs, at least 5 of them, right? 4 to 5. And that's significantly going to help this team, along with getting that depth from the rookie classes, having all those picks. And also we have picks and cap space next year. Like, I know last year was tough and watching us just burn this team down, right, from a roster standpoint, but like Poles has been a masterclass, at least on paper. He is doing everything in the right way to build a team and having that flexibility to keep doing it the following year. You know what I mean? It's not like this is our only year to do it. We have 2 first-round picks next year, and we'll have a giant amount of cap. So it's really exciting to see. So if Fields is the guy, we're going to be like, oh, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun because we're gonna have like a lot of flexibility.
8-10 years, man.
I hope so. Yeah.
It's exciting. So, like I said, the Bears roster, it's not perfect, but the improvement, just the drastic overhaul, just from this summer, I think it's awesome, man. They filled a lot of needs. They finally have a wide receiver 1. Offensive line is pretty adequate. The defense is young, mixed with some vets. That back 7 is, I think, going to surprise a lot of people. And then the edge, just got solved a little bit. So
it helps for sure. I mean, when the guy has more sacks than your whole team combined, it sure does fucking help. Like that, you can't say that's not a great signing for what our team was at. Like when one man has more, then like it's almost hard to comprehend, and it's sad, and it makes sense because the games you watched last year, but it's kind of crazy. So
what's funny? Like I said, I guess we'll end it here. We've been going for about 33 minutes, which is awesome. The fact that we can just talk about, this type of signing with the Bears. That's, like I said, the hype is there. We're excited. The season's almost here as well. But Yannick Ngakoue, he tweeted today, or when the news broke, he just tweeted a little bear emoji, which I think is just awesome. He's excited, to come to Chicago. I think he said he was ready to rush. He sent out a tweet like last week where he's like, I'm ready to rush or something like that. And I was just like, when's your flight to Chicago, man? And it's so funny. Like, he didn't respond. I don't even think he liked it. But the fact that, a week later, it's like, okay, now he's in Chicago. It's cool, man. It's
exciting. And I think what's good about it is that a lot of Bears people on Twitter, Bears fans, like, I think a lot of us, this was probably the guy that we most wanted and most expected to sign. So to see it happen is really cool.
Yeah, because like a Justin Houston, he's older. How much gas is in the tank?
Yeah. So Clowney, we weren't going to go for. I don't think so. But this is a guy. Because again, we need a pass rusher. So that's what I'm saying. That the third downs when we just like I can't remember the team that the name that he calls for the unit that basically just rushes the quarterback on those potential passing plays that Eberflus has. But whatever that name is, I'm excited to see that because with DeMarcus Walker, with Travis Gibson, with Javon Dexter, and Yannick, I do think that might be, a pretty good, let me phrase it, but it'll be a decent average, maybe above average rush. We'll see. The potential's there, right? Especially with the guys like especially with the younger guys. With Yannick and DeMarcus, they've kind of showed us who they are. Consistent, like you said. But like if the other guys in the back half can, start to improve, we'll be looking at a decent setup. And then we can go get even someone better next year. So, or trade for Chase Young at this point. Fuck it. Like, let's just get all the
options are there, and it hasn't always been the case. So it's just fun to be, have this flexibility and just be able to kind of even talk about all these different scenarios. And the funny thing is, who's out there right now that would be so funny? The Bears single season sack record holder, Robert Quinn. Like, I'm just saying, like, if you're like, let's bring in one more.
Wait a second. Because is this an odd year or is this an even year? Is this an even year? So if it's an even year, we'll be good. Because he had a bad year last year.
Because of it.
He goes back and forth. Look at his history. It's always back and forth. So this would be the year to sign him.
2023? That's what I'm saying. So one year deal.
2023. Yeah, we'd be good.
He's probably looking for one last little paycheck. We have money to spend. I think we still have to meet that cap or that spending limit.
I think we're going to get that through an extension, though.
I think you're right.
Yeah, internal.
But it'd be funny, man. Just because he
why not? Right?
He's such a unique player. The way that he can get to the quarterback. I don't know if he has anything left in the tank. And he went to Philly, and I think he had one sack, maybe.
Yeah, and he got injured too. But yeah, he didn't do much, and he didn't do much with us either. So, which is crazy. How do you get how do you get 18.5 sacks? And he's done that before with a different team, and then not follow up the next.
I think it was like the Rams or something like
that.
Yeah,
it was
early on his career.
Yeah, first stint with the Rams.
It's so weird. Wow. That is weird, man. But
that's so many sacks. I mean, he's still. It's crazy though. He has a good amount of sacks, but I think Yannick's up there with him too, just because like he's so inconsistent. That I think Yannick's 65 sacks, like with current players. I think he's like top 7 or something. I could be making that up. I heard that from somewhere. Or he's within like a 6-year span though, not like in total, because there's some people that have been in the league forever and they have a ton of sacks. But within a 6-year span, I think he's like 7th, which is pretty consistent, right? So it's a great sign.
5 teams. He's a weird player, man. As far as like his production doesn't match like his.
Someone thought someone would have given him the bag or something, and he's playing the down. So
I thought he was going to Kansas City. I thought he was going to a contender. I really did. And maybe he just, it's the Justin Fields effect. He's just like, hey, I like this guy. I think,
or we paid him $10.5 million with
that's
incentives.
True.
So we
money talks.
Back too. Yes, it does. So.
Hey, but it's more fun.
It could be both,
Well, we'll just say it's both, but I think we'll end it there. Like I said, we're excited. We'll have another episode. We'll be, as far as like the schedule goes, we're going to be 2 episodes a week from here on out, more than likely. Just because we have preseason. Week 1 is almost about a month away, a little bit more. September 10th against Green Bay. But we'll be back. And again, we are excited to be just partners with Sports Mockery. It's just going to give us the resources and the platform to just talk about the Bears, something that we love to do. So Ficky, man, before we head out, you have anything else to say?
Nah, well, other than it's like midnight over here, so I'm ready to go to sleep. But this news got me hyped as fuck. So yeah, I know. So I saw the news and I was like excited because I was like, yes. But then I was like, oh my gosh, it's late, so I'm gonna be zooming for hours. But but it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm mad about it. But yeah,
cool. All right. Well, hey, we'll catch you guys next week, probably Monday. We have a real cool special guest, and we'll catch you guys then.
All right, peace.